Gas closeouts are complete. Stage 1 pressing for flight.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift off of the Falcon 9.
Power and telemetry nominal.
Falcon 9 has cleared the tower and is now headed upward on its mission to sun-synchronous low Earth orbit. Coming up, the rocket will throttle down for max Q, which
reached maximum aerodynamic pressure,
which represents the maximum aerodynamic stress on the rocket. We're now headed into a series of events that will occur in rapid succession. That's MECO, stage separation, and SES-1, or second engine start 1. MECO is the shutdown of all 9 first stage engines in preparation for stage separation, where stage 2 separates from stage 1, and SES-1 is the ignition of the second stage engine.
And back chill has begun.
Following SES-1, we will turn our attention back to the returning first stage, which will relight 3 of its engines in a boost back burn to head back towards the drone ship. And then finally, we'll see fairing deployment at T plus 2 minutes and 43 seconds. As mentioned earlier in this webcast, we're attempting to recover the payload fairing, and while we will not have a live video feed of this attempt, we'll share updates as they become available. So in about 20 seconds, you'll hear the call out from MECO. Let's listen in.
We have MECO.
And as you just saw, we had a successful main engine cutoff, stage separation, as well as ignition of that second stage engine. And there goes that fairing. And there you can see all 64 of those satellites on stage 2 headed to sun-synchronous orbit. You will hear the call out for the boost back burn ending in a couple of seconds. That's where stage 1's burn that brings it back in the direction of the drone ship. That burn will cease.
Stage 2 trajectory nominal.
And we are hearing that the stage 2 trajectory is nominal and performing as desired. You can see those beautiful grid fins popping up on the left side on stage 1 as it makes its way back down to the drone ship.
同时，这也是美国太空探索公司本年度完成的第19次发射，超过了去年18次发布的年度记录。这项发射任务的代号为小卫星快车的卫星发射工程业务，由太空飞行工业公司经营，把64颗来自17个国家、34个不同的私人和公共组织的大小和微卫星打包在一起发射，大大减低成本。 到目前为止，他们已为全球的商业客户发射了140多颗卫星，开创了国际卫星发射的工程业务。这也是猎鹰9号第5版同一助推器火箭今年3次重复使用，上2次是今年5月份和8月份圆满完成发射和降落任务。 马斯克曾说，猎鹰9号 Block 第5版至少可以重复使用100次。此次小卫星快车的卫星发射，工程业务包括15个卫星，卫星和49个立方体微卫星，来自17个国家的34个不同的私人和公共组织。这17个国家是美国、澳大利亚、意大利、荷兰、芬兰、韩国、西班牙、瑞士、英国、德国、约旦、哈萨克斯坦、泰国、波兰、加拿大、巴西和印度。完成发射任务后，猎鹰9号的第1级按计划安全返回了地球，成功降落在加州海岸50英里外的名称未经已读说明书的无人船。 同时负责捕捉正流角的快船是地空先生的出轨道，预定航运是途接着落下来的正流角，但没接住，价值600万美元的正流角落水后被回收，今后修复并新再用。
main engine cut off first, then stage S separation. And we see the second engine there ignited and carrying our payloads into the proper orbit. Now on the left side of your screen there, you see our first stage, which is coming back down to planet Earth as we're hoping to land it on our drone ship this morning. So coming up in just a few seconds, we'll be initiating the re-entry burn. This is designed to slow the rocket down as it re-enters Earth's atmosphere. Then just a couple minutes later, we'll perform the final burn, also known as the landing burn, and that will decelerate the vehicle to a gentle landing atop of our drone ship. So there's the visual confirmation of that re-entry burn. This will last for another 10 seconds. Okay, so now that re-entry burn has ended, we have less than a minute until that third and final landing burn will happen, followed by touchdown.
Stage 1 FPS has saved.
Now, as we approach our first stage landing, I'd like to point out that we might lose video coverage out there on our drone ship. There's lots of vibrations as the rocket is coming down towards it, so we might lose our satellite signal. If this is the case, we'll be sure to provide you status updates on that first stage as they become available. We're certainly excited to hear about it here in Hawthorne and across all of SpaceX, as this is the first time that we are trying to land this for a third time. So there we can see that final landing burn happening. We'll be looking for deployment of the landing legs here momentarily. Falcon 9 landed on our drone ship. Just read the instructions, which is currently out in the Pacific Ocean.
That's so great. And the second stage is still continuing on with the primary mission, though. We are 8 minutes and 32 seconds into flight, and the second stage is still burning nominally. It's on a really good trajectory. Power is looking good, chamber pressures are good, and we're looking at 200,000 pounds of thrust in the vacuum of space with that engine. So the second engine cutoff, or SECO, that's where we're going to stop burning this engine, because ideally Falcon 9 will be in its intended deployment orbit. That's coming up in about 50 seconds.
So as we mentioned earlier, we won't be able to show the deployments of the satellites today because this will be happening, that will be taking place over areas where we don't have ground station coverage. So unfortunately, we won't have any live video feed to provide. Because deployment won't be viewable, we will end our live webcast soon after the second engine cutoff, but please continue to follow along on SpaceX Twitter updates for payload deployment as they become available.
All right, we should be expecting SECO, and there it is. Let's listen in for whether or not the orbit's good. And we have confirmation that stage 2 has reached a good orbit. This is the deployment orbit, and the next step over the course of the next 40 minutes or so is to separate the payloads from the second stage of Falcon 9. And with that, we have reached the conclusion of our webcast today. Please continue to follow on SpaceX Twitter for real-time updates on the rest of this mission, including deployment of the satellites on board today. Thank you to our customer Spaceflight for entrusting us with today's launch, and to the United States Air Force's 30th Space Wing for range support. And a special thanks to the FCC, the NTIA, and NASA's Spectrum Office for helping making today's flight possible.
Be sure to continue to follow along with future SpaceX milestones. Check out our website and social media feeds. Also, be sure to check us out for our next flight, CRS-16, a NASA cargo resupply mission to the International Space Station. And that's currently targeted for tomorrow, December 4th, at 1:38 p.m. Eastern out of Cape Canaveral.